Matthew Golden, Armand Membou, and Shavon Revel. We've got some exciting NFL draft prospects to break down today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Krabs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Joe, snowing down south. You said it's a snow day for you, but is there actual snow?
There's a white substance that coats the street. Yeah, it's out there.
But there's it's snowing in Florida.
7 inches in Pensacola, Kyle Krabs.
Yeah.
Pensacola.
Like a once-in-a-lifetime event here.
You ever been to Pensacola?
I have been to Pensacola.
Yeah.
Flown in the airport a few times.
You going? Are you going to be there next week?
I am not flying into Pensacola.
Oh, no. What a great commute that is.
In 10 days. Yeah. No, I'll be flying directly into Mobile.
Good for you.
From Dallas. Because
okay.
I leave on Friday to go to Shrine. And then leave Dallas and the Shrine on Monday to go straight to Senior Bowl. So next week's going to be a big one for the NFL draft, which is fitting because we're doing draft here today on the show.
Some fun players to get into, Kyle Krabs.
Yeah.
Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas. Armand Membou, tackle Missouri. Shavon Revel, corner from ECU. Let's start with Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas. 6 foot, 195 pounds. Played his first 2 years at Houston.
Yep.
Goes to Texas. And what do you like here, Kyle? What are you seeing?
So I appreciate the fact that he lapped Isaiah Bond as far as becoming the guy, right? I know Isaiah Bond got banged up throughout the season too, but even just like the performance and play, this is a player who I think brings a lot of explosiveness to the field. It's the first thing that stands out is the route running and the explosiveness and the separation ability. For a guy who's well built, wins down the field. He was a little bit more of a schemed touch predominant guy at Houston with Dana Holgorsen, where they ran what Dana Holgerson's run for forever, right? Is that extreme air raid variation, and you get into Steve Sarkisian, where there's some more overlap with what the pro game's going to look and feel like, and the depth of target and how they expanded him down the field, and it really looked like he could run any route on the tree. And I think that's the number one thing that stands out to me with Matthew Golden is just the comfort that you feel like projecting him into an NFL offense. He's going to be able to win against man coverage and create separation pretty early on.
Yeah, that's what I loved, man. Route winner. Matthew Golden, the guy gets open, dude. He runs away from coverage, super clean in and out of breaks, that ability to like rapidly change directions, win on the horizontal plane, man. I think that's the money routes that you can win in that capacity. You're going to have a real chance to be a guy at the next level. And so that separation quickness, the route running really, really, really pops. And I love, like, dude will go over the middle of the field and like he's a legit every level threat and every area of the field. There's no specialization here. I can ask him to win any route and win at any place on the football field, and he can help my offense. And so this is an exciting package. Like, I got the warm fuzzies watching him, and to me, he's firmly in the conversation to be the best receiver in this class. I know that Ted McMillan has a lot of fans, and what's really interesting is they're just really opposite players.
Yeah,
right?
they're polar opposite players.
So if you could convince me of either one based on what you feel like is best for your team, but if you want the route winner, my goodness, Matthew Golden comes in really, really polished, man. I was very, very impressed with the route running skills.
especially considering he came from an air raid
Yeah.
offense that just liked, especially his freshman year, just get the ball in his hands, right? So it was a very different experience seeing him this year in Texas. A little bit more background on him. He was a track and field athlete, ran 10.9 in the 100-meter, triple jumped nearly 22 feet. So that, like, athleticism going all the way back to track and field, it's very evident, and you see that explosiveness. He had interest from a bunch of programs as a 4-star recruit, but stayed home. He's from Houston originally, and then transferred to Texas. So if you were to get into some of the nitpicky critiques of the game, because he's a guy who's going to get buckets for you, right? Like he's going to, if you get man coverage and you need a first down and you need it's 3rd and 7, you could play him in isolation and feel really good that he's going to get to the leverage spot and to the break that he needs. But if you were going to provide some constructive criticism, I thought there were some frustrating drops within his frame. The run blocking profile can be, I think, much better for a player of his stature. Like you contrast to Emeka Egbuka as an example. I think Ibuka is a better player in the run game than what Golden is right now. Obviously, that's an ancillary part of the position, and that's where most of my critiques lie with him. And then I guess the other one would be after the catch, he's explosive and he breaks angles, and I think he's got good field vision, but he's not like overly creative in congested areas, right? Like you get the yards that's available, and if he runs through a tackle challenge or if he breaks your pursuit angle, he's going to gouge you and he'll take advantage of it. But you see some guys that get the ball in their hands in these close quarter situations in high traffic, and they're able to navigate and see kind of 2 steps ahead. And it's almost like their vision's a little bit more like a running back pressing the line of scrimmage. Yeah. I didn't really get that feel from Golden and his play on with some of the quick hitting stuff on the perimeter.
I think those are extremely fair critiques. I think there were some drops. What I will say though, is I felt like this is a player with really confident hands. So you see him catch the ball outside of his frame, even when it's got a little pace to it, and be able to like secure and tuck it away like very, very smoothly. So that gave me, there was enough of that for me to be like, okay, yeah, these are drops, but I've seen enough of the good to not be overly concerned there. I agree. This isn't Zay Flowers, right? You're not drafting him to just feed the ball on the perimeter and ask him to go create. He's not electric with the ball in his hands, but he does have great acceleration. So when there is grass, right, he's going to get those yards, but this isn't like a guy that you're going to prioritize manufactured touches for. And yeah, I think that there are some physical elements, particularly with run blocking, that he's going to disappoint. So those are the concessions, if you will. I feel comfortable with the package, though. Like
yes,
maybe he won't be the preferred choice for the Rams in what they ask their receivers to do in the run game. But I value the separation ability so much, and I feel like this is such a breath of fresh air, man, when it comes to route running prowess.
Yeah. So now that you've watched the player and revisit, I gave him to Arizona on my mock on Monday. What do you think?
That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah. That's a beautiful complimentary player to Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my favorite stat for him, and we kind of alluded to the offensive system change, over 50% of his routes as a freshman were go balls and hitches.
Oh, really?
Over 50%.
Okay.
That number in 2024 with Texas was 34%.
Yeah, it's a good move for it. Dude, what a move that's the great thing about the portal, right? Like you get yourself in a position like this.
Get the reps that you need in a different environment.
Yeah.
To showcase yourself a little bit more. And obviously played 15 games, and they got a killer tight end there, and Gunnar Helm that I'm a really big fan of, and Isaiah Bond's got plenty of talent. They had a freshman wide receiver that can clearly go.
I got to call a timeout. Yeah. You said something that provoked a thought in my mind because you started getting into the supporting cast. How frustrating was it for this guy to be cooking dudes vertically and then have to catch the ball like he's fielding the punt, man? What are we doing with this?
We're not dedicating any time on this show to talk.
What are we doing here, man? And then you watch Arch Manning come in and just the ability to like play within rhythm and throw accurately. It's like, oh my gosh, if brother.
You remember what we said after they lost to Washington in the playoff last year?
Oh, this was a national championship team all day long. It's the most talented team in
this
college
one
football.
as well.
Yeah.
If Arch Manning plays the entire game, I don't think they lose to Ohio State.
Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane, Kyle. I'm just like,
natties.
You are wasting separation. This is insane.
2 natties. And the way that they called the game was so different. Like,
dude, 100%.
They put the entire offense in like a box.
How is this not obvious? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Going to break?
He's good. Yes, the Missouri offensive lineman next. Stick with us. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No more waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has got you covered. And right now, if you want to get in on the conference championship games, the Eagles, 6.5-point favorites at home. The Chiefs, 1.5-point favorites. Andy Reid wasn't expecting it. He said, I bet you we're going to be underdogs. He's wrong about that. So if you want to get in on the action, check out FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Armand Membou, right tackle, University of Missouri. He's listed on their football roster at, I believe, 6'3", 325 pounds.
Yeah.
Strapping young man, first and foremost. And Joe, he doesn't turn 21 until March 27th.
Yeah, I like that.
20-year-old, 2-year starter. 2-year plus starter at right tackle for Missouri.
I think there's a lot to like here. A really powerful dude. I love that about him. You could tell he's got a lot of strength because I think he takes away from his functional strength with some of the technical work that he needs, and he's still powerful and moving bodies around. I think that's what really excites me is his ability to really control reps with his functional strength. And I think he's got pretty impressive athleticism for the size that he has. You know, you see some good movement, some good lateral movement, some, you know, the ability to really get to landmarks and play freely. You know, even seeing him going up against some of these offensive linemen, you know, I prioritize defensive lineman. I prioritize the Texas A&M tape to kind of see that collection of players against him. And I was impressed with his ability to kind of go toe for toe and match some of those athletes. There's some fluidity in the way that he moves that I like a ton. So there's a lot to like there. I think let's start there before, you know, kind of get into some of the concerns. And maybe I certainly feel like he can live at tackle. I think his ceiling is a lot better at guard, though.
I'll read you the player synopsis. Just because it's funny that's where you finished. Membou has an NFL starter projection at tackle and would be a very good power tackle in an inside zone scheme. But given his blend of athleticism and power at his size, he feels like a potential Pro Bowl guard. I believe the ceiling and floor are both higher inside, although teams drafting him are well within their rights to play him outside first or if need persists for their respective line. Expect an NFL starter either way, but he feels like a universal scheme fit at guard who can develop into one of the best players at his position in the league.
Yeah, I think we see him very similarly. And I think so. I think the issue is pretty obvious. Like, he's very much a leaner, right? And so doesn't like to sit on his hips and stay rooted where he can lean. The kind of guys can get to his edges a little bit. Angles can be a little off. Strike timing can be weird. When you take the air out of it and put him at guard, all of that is really mitigated. And the fact that he's such a young player, it gives me a lot of optimism that there's so much upward momentum for what he can develop into.
So 2 things. When you mention leaner too, he's not like a toes leaner either. He's on the hips leaner, right? As he greets guys. And I don't want to make this conversation about the projection of guard and tackle and which one is which, because I want to make sure that we give Membou like his due glow. He's one of my favorite linemen in the class. But he's somebody who his feel of staying connected in space, it's more of the feel that's the issue for me as compared to the physical ability or the hands. And when you're talking about moving a guy inside, I think his hand placement can be more consistent, but he's got really powerful hands. He's got a quick punch. Those kinds of things would be what would preclude me from wanting to move him inside if his hands are bad. And he leans because he's late and he's catching, and then he's leaning because he's not initiating contact. He's got a really good grasp and he's got a good punch. And then it's as he works to frame in space and continue to ride guys out, that's where I think you see the tendency to lean take over for him sometimes. So the fact that he's got the punch, the fact that he can get on top of guys early and he's got the athleticism to do it, I'm less intimidated of the prospect of moving him inside, where if you have those issues, it's only going to be more amplified because there's a more direct path to the quarterback if you're not initiating first contact appropriately. And he does that. And like, he's such a tone setter player, especially at first contact. So that's where, for me, a lot of people have questions about, why do you feel like this guy should play inside? Why do you feel like this guy shouldn't play outside, even though he doesn't really frame well on the outside? That's the big reason. And Membou, I think I have a lot of confidence in his ability to get his hand set the way that he needs to inside.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to frame it. There's a number of different reasons why you would project a player inside when they're a tackle in college. I think he's almost exclusively right tackle, if I'm not mistaken, for Missouri. I agree that's a good way to put it. And he does have that ability to control, right? Like there's no concern that he can get on top of players and control reps. And I think not only are some of the concerns mitigated, but that is amplified when he gets a chance to play on the interior. He's a Senior Bowl guy, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah. Joe, the trenches at the Senior Bowl are loaded.
Good. Good. With a player like him, because I know you're going to be there next week, what are some of the things that you're looking for to maximize his showing down there?
Oh, obviously the offensive side of the ball is kind of baked in at a little bit of a disadvantage for some of the one-on-one type of stuff. I want to see how he handles, there's an all-star cast of pass rushers down there too. And it's a blend of speed guys, power guys, finesse guys, inside guys, outside guys. So like, I want to see in what ways he's most dominant. And I kind of have an expectation of what that's going to look like. But if he comes down and he blows the doors off against all comers at all alignments, I mean, how high can the ceiling go? I know he's been getting in the top 20 of mock drafts over the past couple weeks. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility.
He screams player that people have concerns about on Tuesday, but love him on Thursday. You know what I'm saying? Like guys that throughout the course of the week at practice just continue to take steps.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, I want to ask you this too. People are going to see the height and get turned off.
Because he's 6'3"?
Yeah. Does height matter to you? Like, I think reach matters. I think frame matters as far as like the broadness of your shoulders. You could give me a 6'3" tackle all day long, and like I'm not really going to be turned off by a guy being 6'3" to play at tackle ever if he has the reach to play. And I think that Membou does. Not
to spin this to the Bills, but you want to talk about polar opposites where they have a 6'3" tackle and a 6'10" tackle, and Dawkins and
Deion Dawkins.
Yeah, and they win in different ways, but I don't think it's super important as long as you have the reach. And of course, a lot of the conversations with Dawkins was guard, right? And he winds up being a really good tackle. So I think he can live in either world, but I don't know that he has as much reach as Dawkins. Dawkins has 35-inch arms. I don't know.
I don't think he's that long.
Yeah, I think that would be something to be mindful of.
That may be. I think that'll set the tone for his week is when the weigh-ins come out and you see what the arm length is. I think a lot of people are going to say, see, he needs to play inside. They're going to say, oh, wow, he's got 34 1/4.
Yeah.
Let's rock and tackle.
Now, I think that's why a name like Dwayne Brown comes into my head, where a little bit of that, I feel weird saying that a guy that's like 6'3" with, is dense or squatty, but like that type of body composition, I think he's going to be fine.
And he does a really nice job of sustaining power. We talked pre-show about momentum blockers. I don't think he's a momentum blocker. No. I think he's got really easy, in the same way that I alluded to it with Michael Williams a couple weeks ago, talking about like his power to compress tackles when rushing the passer. I think Membou's got that really easy low gear on a manual transmission that really has a lot of torque to it. And it looks easy how he's able to build momentum and root a guy out.
Yeah. All right. I think he'll be a riser. I like how, as we keep doing these players, man, you're just kind of filling out this draft class for me, Kyle Krabs.
Yep.
Got another one here on the other side of it. Shavon Revel, corner from ECU. Talking about him next. Stick with us. Therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, and communicate more effectively. But finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can be a challenge. That's where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours. And it's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your home and even message your therapist between appointments. Plus, Talkspace is covered by many insurance plans, and for most insured members, there's a $0 copay. It's never been easier to prioritize your mental health. As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNFL and enter promo code SPACE80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNFL and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/LockedOnNFL, promo code SPACE80.
So Shavon Revel, cornerback, ECU, our next name. This is 6'3", 195-pound, fifth-year senior corner. Played in 3 games this year before an ACL tear. Cost him the rest of his season. He's going to be at the Shrine, not participating in the events with an injury, but he'll be a Shrine Bowl participant. And before we get into like the film, I want to ask you how much of his background you did or didn't get into.
I got JUCO, fifth-year senior, torn ACL, and he has a pretty impressive track background. I don't have the numbers, but
yes. But there's a handful of guys in this class. Another one's Demetrius Knight from South Carolina, linebacker, as another Senior Bowl guy. This is a guy who is going to have checked one of the most important boxes just based on how he's got to where he's already at. So he lands as a 3-star recruit, enrolls at Lewisburg College for his freshman and sophomore seasons as JUCO. When he was at Lewisburg, he worked shifts at Amazon to help make ends meet, and then drove overnight spontaneously to go to a prospect camp at ECU. Ran a 4.4 flat and an 11-foot standing broad jump. Needless to say, gets offered by ECU, right?
Yeah.
But these kinds of guys that have this real modest start and do the hard extra stuff to make ends meet, like Demetrius Knight, he was at University of Charlotte, and he door dashed after games to make money to help take care of his kids until he transferred to South Carolina. Shavon Revel working at Amazon to make ends meet while playing at JUCO to then go get this opportunity. Like that to me tells you a lot of what you need to know about what a guy's willing to do to be successful.
Yeah. Byron Young as well, right? Remember him, Tennessee.
Yep.
And it's dude, that's going to resonate so much in an NFL world where toughness and culture matters so much, man. You know, you're going to get it in him. And I mean, I came in here ready to talk about a great football player, and I like him even more now that you said all that.
Right.
Yeah, dude, he could ball, man. He's a freaking good player. Length obviously pops. I mean, he's probably I bet he is between 6'2" and 6'3", tons of length, super physical player. Love how he really just compresses routes, leverages the sideline. You're not going to play through him. I love that ability to be physical and have really good body control. And then that shows up in the way that he tackles and supports the run. You know, there's an urgency about the way that he plays the game that I love. And for a guy that's 6'3", you know, you're going to talk about high hips and those types of things. But I still think from what he showed, I mean, really good change direction skills and ability to plant and drive and run. Very instinctive player. Obviously, there's going to be a lot that translates to zone coverage with his length and his ability to really invade the catch point and compete. But also, I mean, plenty of man coverage reps on the tapes that I watched where that ability to flip his hips, turn and run is pretty evident. So there's a really exciting package. I mean, across the board. I mean, the guy's got an ACL tear, but I understand why you've committed to get mocking this dude top 15, top 20, because I think that the skill set certainly warrants that type of projection.
So he's got that dog mentality on the field, and it shows up. He's got over 150 career special team snaps on all four kicking units: kickoff, return, punt, return. The way he plays the run and gets up on the edge, like the eagerness that he brings to playing, like setting hard edges on the perimeter.
Yep.
With the length and movement skills that he has to be a tackler, and he's a violent striker in addition to having wrap potential because of his wingspan being as big as it is. You mentioned being able to play man coverage and play press, and like obviously there's technical development that he's in line for because he played at ECU, right? And was JUCO before that. And so obviously a little bit of a late bloomer as far as like physically what he's turned into. But it really looked like he was starting to see and feel the game late in 2023 and early in 2024. Looked like it was really starting to come to him as far as nothing happening too fast, being in control, having anticipation while playing in space. And it's a projection grade that I have for him, but I don't know how you don't look at the physical ability with the athleticism to be a guy that's 6'3", and as long as he is, that runs a 4.4 flat with an 11-foot standing broad jump, who made a jump in level of competition and had really started to settle into that, who's willing to do the things that he has showcased he's willing to do to be successful. I just don't know how you don't love the entire profile of what he's capable of being, and the distance from what he is to what he can be. Maybe that's uncomfortable for you to plant your flag in the ground. There's a certain stratosphere of like drafting and investing in this player, but he was one of the first 10 guys I did a write-up on because he got hurt in the season. Yeah. And I love this dude.
I mean, you mentioned he played at ECU. I mean, two of the better young corners that have entered the league recently in Sauce Gardner and Quinyon Mitchell, Toledo and Cincinnati, you know, like
and Revel played more press man and man than Quinyon did at Toledo.
No doubt about it. Yeah, I find myself pretty unconcerned. He had a pretty nice game against Michigan. That was one that I watched. So I just, how's his knee? You know, that's what how's his knee? Is he good to go as a practice freak injury? You hate all that. You know, certainly sounds like that was probably non-contact, but yeah, I mean, it happened earlier in the season too, right? He only played 3 games. So it's probably like a September injury. So I feel pretty comfortable outside of just, I mean, my doctor says he's good to go. I mean, that's a this is a first-round corner all day long, man.
Yeah, because these guys don't grow on trees like this, right?
Got some special ones this year. I really think I think highly of Will Johnson, and I liked Ben Morrison. I know he's got injuries and all that type of stuff. This guy looks really strong to me.
We got to do Trey Amos next.
Is he one of those Mississippi guys?
So he went from Louisiana Lafayette for 3 years, Alabama last year, and Ole Miss this year.
So he's played for every team, basically.
Yeah, he's got a lot of coverage exposure from different coaches and schemes. It's a good thing.
I'm excited, man. We got kind of cranking up this draft stuff, and the class is filling out. I'm probably 40 guys into it now, and I mean, I presumably these are some of the better players I've watched at this point, but it's filling out. Yeah, it's filling out for sure.
So put these guys in order.
Oh, Golden, yeah. Oh gosh. If I'm not accounting for the injury, it's Golden, Revel, Membou. I keep on wanting to say Bow because it's OU at the end, but it's Membou. Golden. Not accounting for the injury, it's Golden, Revel, Membou.
Okay,
that's how I would stack them.
I go Revel, Membou, Golden.
Okay.
But these are all top 30 players on my board right now.
They will be for me too. They will be for and I'm not going to have the Tet Golden argument. Like, what do you want? What type of player do you want?
Right. And we could get into April, and if we want to have that argument then, if we feel super compelled, we can have that argument then.
Right. We'll get more information on everybody. So
Right. This process is just getting started, and we will continue each week to spotlight a couple of guys and have the deep dive conversations on and get you guys ready for April. For those of you who are no longer playing football, Joe, ironically, his team is still playing football. So Joe Marino finding himself
is that still happening?
Top 12 in the podcast charts and living good. Got crossover tomorrow with
lots for my anxiety, Kyle Krabs. Let me tell you. I'm watching movies, Kyle, to get my mind off of it. I've watched the Sonic movies, Kyle.
I do not feel sorry for you one bit.
I'm telling you, man, this is different. This is different.
I'm sure it is. I wouldn't know. A lot of fans that wouldn't know. So I don't feel sorry for you. I'm
not asking for sympathy. I'm saying, but anxiety is at another level. The
games this Sunday are what we're previewing tomorrow on the show, so we could get Joe's anxiety ramped up even more. I'm Kyle Krabs. He's Joe Marino. Appreciate you guys as always for checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your day. We're out of here.